I come to this Chorizo Menudo breakfast, whether I'm elected official or not, but now I'm here running for re-election for the 4th ISD School Board, District 1, which encompasses North Side, Diamond Hill, and parts of West Side. I'm just here, I'm honored to have served y'all for the last 3 months, and I humbly ask for your support for the next 4 years. I let my actions speak for me. We have, in the past 3 years, every school in the district, in District 1, has shown improvement. We passed a strategic plan. We're working on the facilities master plan, one we have not had in over 10 years, and we just passed a $1.2 billion bond. So it's a little backwards. We're trying to get straightened out and spend our money appropriately, but with the current economic times and tariffs that we don't know if they're coming or not, everything is getting more expensive. Northside High School, I'm very proud to say, went from an F campus to a C campus in this past STAR testing. And we are moving right along. This board, the superintendent that will probably be named on Tuesday. We're focused on student achievement. We're focused on literacy. We're focused on the students, because that, an education you cannot take away. My parents did not graduate from high school. My father had an elementary school education. My mother was getting her GED at the same time I was getting my high school diploma. But they instilled in their 6 children the importance of education, and no one can ever take that away from you. So I am the youngest of 6 children, and I was blessed to be able to go to college and podiatry school and come back to my community that I love. I love this community. I could live anywhere. I could have stayed in New York City, but I wanted to come back here for the community that raised me. So I humbly ask for your vote, and I'd like to introduce former Mayor Pro Tem Kathleen Hicks, who is here, and also Judge Mary Ellen Hicks is on her way, and I'm just a product of this community. Y'all raised me, and I just want to give back. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
It's a yes or no question. I would like to know if you were to have a resolution proposed in Fort Worth ISD that makes a staunch, hold on, please let me, that makes a staunch stand for our undocumented students, for our vulnerable students, to ensure that they're going to be protected and prioritized, and we're going to keep our schools safe by not collaborating with ICE and having law enforcement go in and separate kids and separate families. Would you vote yes on this?
Yes, ma'am, definitely, and I've been vocal about this, and we have reached out to the state legislature, the Congress people, Republican and Democrat, to get some guidance, because everybody's afraid of the current president. But people cannot come into our schools and take our children, period. There has to be a signed warrant by a judge. We can't just have random ICE officers coming in and saying, I'm taking Jose Martinez, without documentation. Because probably every school has a Jose Martinez. We have to have the proper documentation, and the school district is 100% behind this. And if that does happen, thank God it has not happened in Fort Worth ISD schools, they're calling the legal department. And the legal department knows what's proper, what's not, but that's what our principals and staff have been told to do, to call the legal department, and someone will go there and stop it.
Hey, Dr. Rodriguez, good morning.
Good morning. Oh, former trustee Carlos Vasquez, Fort Worth ISD.
I haven't been here for a long time, but I wanted to make sure that I was here for this question. What are you going to do to ensure that we have the least amount of schools closed in our district?
That's what we're in the process of doing that now. But as you're well aware, closing schools have been on the agenda for years. It was on the agenda when I was on the school board from 2004 to 2008. There's been a few schools closed, but the honest truth is we have lost about 20,000 students in the past 15 years, and we have 141 schools. It is not fiduciarily responsible to have schools with a low enrollment of like 200 or 300 students, and that costs the same amount to run as it does a school with 700 students. The schools with lower enrollment have less access to the resources. They have to split art teachers, they have to split nurses. So that's not fair to our students. So I need community involvement to let us know what's gonna happen. And everybody I talk to says, yes, we know schools need to be closed. But I understand no school in the north side wants to be closed. But it's just a hard decision, and you sat in this seat. That's why we're elected, to make the hard decisions. And I will not make a decision without community input on going forward of what's gonna happen with our schools.
So what schools are you looking at closing right now?
Right now in the north side, Manuel Jara was on the list, but is no longer. The community rose up and spoke, and I even said that is one of the newer schools in District 1. How are you, with the highest enrollment, why would that even be considered? Now well, actually there's 4 elementary schools on Long. Helbing, Washington Heights, Kirkpatrick Elementary, and Dolores Huerta. We just don't have enough kids. I mean, people aren't having kids, unfortunately. And if we had a boom, we had a COVID boom, but they're still not hitting public schools yet. So those are the hard discussions we're gonna have, and I'm gonna need the community input.
One last one, before you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Why would you vote yes to raise our taxes?
I voted for the property taxes. That's what I voted yes to. And if we do not, with the state legislature like it is, Ms. Mesa, you understand you're fighting every day for our property taxes. At this point, the state legislature has not given public schools any money because we know they want to pass vouchers. We know they want to support charter schools and private schools. Without the Texas legislature giving us new money, the only way public schools gets money is through property taxes.
Okay. On our tax forms that we receive as homeowners here in Northside, it tells us how much exactly what is going towards the school and where it's going towards. So I don't know why you're saying that the tax money isn't going towards the school if it's written in black and
It is
white.
going towards the schools, but if last year we passed an INS decrease of the property taxes, and it gave the school district less than $10 million less than we were able to get. And if we were to decrease the property taxes like 1 penny, we could do that, but we'd have to go back to the voters to get that money back. As it is now, if you want to take money away from these students by not paying the property taxes, we just get less. At this point, this is the only way the public school is funded, is through property taxes. And unfortunately, the homeowners are the ones that have to pay to educate our kids.
Now, the forms what you're saying about they didn't give it to the schools, why weren't we as homeowners sent a notification letting us know your tax money is going towards the school?
Well, the taxes go towards the city, the county, the hospital.
Well, that's what I mean, it goes, there's a
Right, and then-
it goes to.
I'm gonna have one last question, and we can go on to the next speaker.
Yes, hi. I'm going to introduce myself because no one is going to introduce me. I am Susana Sandoval, teacher from W.J. Turner, been working there for 18 years, DIA. My daughters go to YWLA, and one of them just recently applied to Marine Creek Collegiate, so I know the district quite a lot. My question to you is, how do you plan to address all those complaints from teachers that go to the board? So I listen to those board meetings. I'm also vice president of my PTA. How do you plan to address all those complaints from teachers that go to the board, that I see them talking about so many things that are happening with us? How do you plan to address that? Because I don't see any changes. I don't see anything happening from the board.
get a lot of complaints about the buses. I understand that. We are trying to hire new bus drivers. There's just a shortage, just like there's a shortage of teachers, which you know.
I know, my only concern is that I see, a lot of people, I see a lot of people that's been here for a while and nothing changes. We need new people. We need new people that listen to the teachers, to the families, and to the students. And I am a parent and I am a teacher. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we gotta keep on going because we got a program here. The next candidate for trustee for District 1 is a graduate of Texas A&M, Texarkana. She has served as an educator for 18 years. In 2022-23, she received it as the District Teacher of the Year Award for Fort Worth. Amanda Anay.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for everyone that is here. And I see colleagues, and I see former students, and sports team members of my son, who's a sophomore at Northside, and I'm glad you are all here this morning. My name is Amanda Ine. I did not grow up in Fort Worth. I actually grew up a lot of places. If you will, I was a community project, I like to say. My mother's parents raised me a lot when I was younger. She was in and out of prison, she did drugs and those kinds of things. And I was very fortunate and blessed to have my mother's grandparents and then also my father's grandparents in the latter part of my schooling. So I'm a proud public school, I'm a proud product of public school. And I'm a firm advocate for it. So moving forward, and I wanted to share that with you because that's part of the reason why I'm running right now, is right now our district is in a lot of trouble. I heard the speaker before me, but almost every elementary school in the north side fell at least 1 to 2 grade levels. So we have Rosen that went from a C to an F. A lot of our schools in Northside are not rated. Currently, 31% of our kids cannot read on grade level, or can read on grade level. The other 70% cannot read on grade level. And that is heartbreaking. Because I know that part of what got me out of my situation was that I was a literate student. And that what excelled me to go to college, because I had no support. I'm literally a first college generation graduate. My grandparents, my grandfather did not finish school. He was a sharecropper with my great grandmother. So I understand struggle. I understand what our kids are going through. I'm also an educator. And it broke my heart when I had to leave Fort Worth ISD, but I understood that I had to leave so that I could do what I'm doing right now. Because as an educator, I could only influence my 20-something, 50-something students. But if I make this decision and it works and you guys elect me, I can affect many students and many teachers. Which brings me to our next point. We are short 250 teachers in Fort Worth ISD right now. And that is due to a lot of things. One is the toxic leadership of Dr. Angelica Ramsey, of which the previous speaker supported her at the very last minute, even though our district was failing, and it still is failing. I'm thankful that Dr. Molinar will be named superintendent. I have hope with her. I know that she was an educator for many years, and that will help her in her decision making. But I am here to ensure that students receive a quality education, that they are supported, that they're in a safe environment, and I'm here to support teachers. Because I know whatever policy we write, how that will look exactly in the classroom. And I am here to see our district turn around. And I know that we can do it together. Any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you for doing this because it takes courage. And I want everyone to know that we have great, experienced teachers. Our school, W.J. Turner, is the only one that is a B-rated school.
That's right.
I know what we need. I know what the board is supposed to be doing and listening and what problems they're supposed to be fixing. It's not that we don't have great teachers, but sometimes they don't let us do what we're supposed to do. Thank you for having the courage. Thank you for listening. That's all.
I have a question.
Any other questions?
I do. Over here, she has a question. Yeah.
All right, go over here in the back.
Good morning, everybody. You now teach at a charter school. Why, if you want to improve public school, would you leave and go to a voucher charter average place?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for your question. So I realized that once the seat is up, I cannot teach for Fort Worth ISD and run for board. And I was not going to give up my passion as an educator to help lower income. Thank you. Thank you. Let's be respectful. So back to what I was saying, I believe in serving areas that need to be served well. So I went to the east side, back to the east side where I was originally in Fort Worth ISD, because I'm not going to give up my calling and my passion to educate students as a literacy 4th and 5th grade teacher. So that is why I made the choice I made.
How many school districts have you worked in the last, say, 10 years?
4.
4 different schools? All right. But you are a proponent of public education.
Absolutely, absolutely a proponent.
That's what I need to know. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Over here on the right.
My name is Latino, and I'm an educator for ISD. And there are some issues, I mean, there's so many. To start with, attendance, discipline, a plan. Every school that I've taught at that had successful ratings had a STAR plan, state testing plan, okay? So this can also be for Camille. As board members, how can you make these schools accountable in these issues? Because I'm gonna tell you what's happening. Attendance rates are being manipulated, dropout rates are being manipulated. Do you believe that Fort ISD has a 4.3% dropout rate? No, but that's what's being reported. So what's happening is the parents are leaving and they're being coded as homeschool. Nobody's checking on these kids. And we as Raza, it's our kids that are predominantly dropping out of school. So who's gonna fight for them? Who's gonna make the parents accountable? Attendance. I've seen schools where, at least at the high school, they have to do seat time for missing schools, but in the middle schools and the primary schools, they're just passing them on. Social promotion is a real thing. You have kids in 6th, 7th grade that are reading on 3rd and 4th grade levels. How is that possible for them being passed on? Special ed. The district's under investigation for taking care of are the most vulnerable people. 1 out of 10 kids are dyslexic. They're not being even like identified because everybody's missing the mark. Kids, I was at a charter school, Can Academy. We had kids that were special ed. It was too late to identify them as special ed. Okay? And then of course, we need, what she was saying earlier about schools not rated. Schools that are not rated means they're F. That's why they're not rated.
That's right. They're below F.
Because they suspended the accountability, all right, because of all these other issues. So technically, the schools that have ratings, they self-reported, or somebody found out what their rating would have been. So we got a lot of issues, and again, I'm just curious how you're going to address these things, and this can also go to Camille Rodriguez, please, but we are way behind. Dallas ISD has a better rating, and they have more people and more things to deal with. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I want to say thank you for running because it takes a lot of courage to run for any race or any campaign. So I commend you on that. Being a former Fort Worth ISD Teacher of the Year says a lot. So that speaks for itself. So thank you for that as well. I'll combine it. If you are elected, we need vocal, passionate, and courageous leaders to speak up and be vocal about it. Many of y'all know I am vocal and a lot of things when it makes people uncomfortable, and that's what we would like to see. Northside is amazing, amazing community, so much potential. These kids deserve the best. Yes, they do. So my question is athletics program. Okay. I am frustrated with the athletics program at Fort Worth ISD. We need somebody to wake up that athletics program and take it out from weighing in because nobody's speaking up for our kids entirely and forward ISD. It's embarrassing to go to games and see other teams, their facilities being up to par. So where the hell is our money going to? Because athletics is just as important as for academics to our children. And they thrive on being part of athletics. So I want to know, like, will there be somebody, digging into that?
So to answer your question about being vocal, I would encourage each of you to go to YouTube and go to Fort Worth ISD School Board and watch every single month all the way back to March. And you will see me there advocating for teachers, advocating for kids, advocating for equality, advocating for all of the things that you just mentioned. Because even before I made the decision to run, I knew that I had to speak up because of where we were as a district.
I got a question over here to the left.
I want to lower the temperature in here a little bit. Thank you. Because we're all working and our concerns are definitely for our children. And the most important thing is their education and their well-being. And so one of the questions and concerns that I have is, how are you going to work together with your colleagues to not only support the teachers and gain more educators that are willing to sacrifice to get our kids where they need to be academically, as well as working with the parents. Some of these kids don't have the parents and don't have the support at home to ensure that the teachers are being supported, as well as when they get home, they have someone at home to assist them with their homework. Make sure that they're waking up on time to get to school. So what are you going to do that the incumbent hasn't done already to ensure that our kids have a support not only in the school, but also at home?
Right. And I really agree with you. And part of what I've spoke about this past year at board meetings, as everybody keeps talking about this declining enrollment, is what are we doing to stop holding the community at arm's length and to allow them into our doors? And that's where we've been lacking. And yes, you are right. In all of the areas that I've taught in the city, there are all of those things. But I can tell you that there are very successful schools that we have that are models to how to allow the community in. And then I, as an educator, of course, dealing with the things that you're talking about, have dealt with them very well. And so it's really a partnership between the board and the superintendent, which again, Dr. Molinar is doing a great job of bridging that community relationship back. But we need to continue moving forward because parents need to be involved, and then we need to also help parents who cannot be involved for whatever reason. Even in our community right here, we have parents that are working 2 or 3 jobs, and it's hard for them. But there's ways to build relationships and to educate and to encourage the importance of being at school and the importance of an education.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a question over there. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to thank you, first of all, for running, because we do need the change. We do need, like everybody else has stressed out enough, from athletics to the school district, to the attendance, all of it. And it's about time we get that change, because we not only owe it to the children, but we owe it to you guys as teachers and the school districts, because all of these people in here has worked their butts off at work, at the schools, or wherever it's at, to get their kids where they need to be. Not all of us come with the golden spoon in the mouth. We all had to work to get where we're at. And yes, we're here to sit here to support you, Amanda, in taking this step for our community. You have given back tremendously for years to kids, to this community, and you have shown up stuff. And I can't thank you enough for that. And I hope everybody does vote for you, because we need that change. These kids, like I said, this community, we deserve that. Us as parents, we deserve that. All those that are liberals and Pias, all of y'all deserve it, because even if the parents, like one of the mothers was saying, not all of the parents are there. Sometimes the abuelos or the tias and the uncles have to raise these kids. It takes a village to raise these kids. And we deserve to give this community a change. So I hope you guys vote.
question in regards to teacher pay. And it's a very straightforward question. Would you be supportive working with the legislature, working with TEA, working with your colleagues who were elected to support a $70,000 minimum wage salary for teachers, for public school teachers?
Absolutely, and I actually just spent time with the executive board of UEA answering questions just like yours. And I am proud to say that it was a unanimous 100% endorsement by UEA. And yes, I am here to support teachers in any way, including pay.
Who's UEA?
United Educators Association.
It's our union.
It's the teachers union.
I can't afford a house right now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right. It's election time, so we have another election coming up, also for City Council here in Fort Worth. Our next speaker is a dedicated public servant, experienced businessman. He worked for the Department of Homeland Security, responsible for stewardship of taxpayer dollars. After his federal service, he worked as an educator and baseball coach at Eastern Hills, Riverside Applied, NOLA Catholic School, and the Khan Academy. And he's a candidate for City Council in District 8, Arthur McCoy.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This morning when I pulled up today, I pulled up right here in front of this park, Marina Park. I'm a graduate of Triple Tech class. A class of '94. But during that time, it really brought back some old memories of just neighborhoods, not just District 8 that I'm actually a candidate for, but also this district as well. You know, as a candidate for District 8, I truly have a passion for the community. I guess walking outside my front door, I realized that there were some issues. I can see downtown, but I also see homelessness. I also see a broken infrastructure. And overall, you know, I see Councilman Flores here. I heard him say something. I heard him say something to the council meeting that kind of lit a fire under me. He said, "Well, if you don't like what you're seeing, why don't you run?" So when I heard that statement from him, I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to sit around and just watch poor judgment as far as council members are concerned. There's just a need. There's a big need in District 8, from Riverside to Hillside to Rolling Hills to Holland Hills. You know, Councilman Nellis is not really informing people that the city will take your property. City and school district will take your property within the domain. And you know, he will make this statement of he's in the community, but I'm starting to see that you know, he kind of picks and chooses what community that he chooses to interact in. And at the end of the day, you know, black or brown, we all have to work together. I mean, this community is only going to flourish if we all work together. We all know we have issues in the school system, whether it's the north side, whether it's the south side. I mean, at the end of the day, community, we have to set some programs as far as literacy is concerned. I mean, that's pretty much the big issue. I mean, that's really the issue. But I will say this, that I'm gonna continue to fight. I'm easy to reach. I tell people all the time, my address is 1208 Stella Street, so if you want to come knock on my door, you're more than welcome to. And I just want to say thank you for inviting me today, and God bless the community.
I grew up in Fort Worth also, but I actually worked in Dallas County. Can I make that statement because when you come, it's sad to me that when you come when you drive into a community, you understand what people live there. So how would you work together with your colleagues you brought up infrastructure. The roads and the streets are bad. They're tearing up our cars. So what would you do differently than the incumbent to kind of make us look like everybody else?
Well, you know, the first thing that I'm starting to learn in politics is that everything's built on relationships. That's what this is. It's all relationships. And if you can build a relationship with your mayor, a good relationship with your mayor, and really hone into your community, those roads can be fixed.
Well, let me tell you something. I just went with the PTA of Fort Worth to the Austin, to the Texas Capitol, and we talked to the legislators. I don't think nothing's going to change. We try to build relationships, but if they don't listen, then what's the point? So just say it. We're trying, but you need to listen. The government needs to listen what we need. Well,
you know, I hear what you're saying, but it's always up for the councilman sitting in that seat to fight for his community. You know, that's you address the state situation with me. I'm talking about something that's local. So locally, if your councilman has a vested interest in the community, then he's able to get potholes fixed. He's able to get trees trimmed. Okay? Over here.
Hello, thank you for running it. Go Bulldogs. I think I was a freshman when you were a senior. District 8, wow. I wish Councilman Chris Nettles was here. I'm disappointed that he's not here. There's a lot to say about District 8, but I will touch on what everybody knows I'm passionate about. The last data that I looked at was the majority in District 8 is 53% Latino. And for so long, that voice has not been well represented. Many years, I have family that live in District 8, I drive to District 8. I know District 8 is neighboring to my family, also in District 11. District 8 has, again, a lot of potential. It deserves the infrastructure, it deserves the love, it deserves the passion. There are amazing kids that always get forgotten in District 8 throughout Fort Worth ISD. But again, 53% Latino majority make up District 8. And I don't feel that's well represented. So what would you do to make sure all voices are represented and make sure that our immigrant communities that are in District 8, because there's many, feel protected and feel that they have the support from their representative, and make sure that they're included in the government process, in the decision making in downtown Fort Worth, in City Hall. So that is my question.
Well, you know, that also starts with the sense of relationship. I mean, I myself, I grew up on the east side. You know, Eastern Hills was my home school, right? But both my parents taught at Triple Tech, and I could have easily went to Eastern Hills. I could have easily stayed on the east side of town, but I had a passion to see something else. I had a passion to understand the Hispanic community. You know, I've always had. So I think that's just what we're missing in District 8, is that it's not always about the black community in District 8, because you're right about the percentage. I mean, it's there. It's probably going to surpass here pretty soon. I mean, but it's very important that the councilman in District 8 gets the Hispanic community involved, because, you know, when I look around, half the business owners in that District 8 are flourishing. I mean, the Latino community is flourishing in District 8. I mean, let's just be honest. So it's just about building that relationship, and I think right now, for whatever reason, I mean, I don't like to bash, but it's just not being done.
Thank you. Any other question over here on this side?
One more.
Well, Mr. McCoy, I'm Councilmember Forrest.
How you doing, sir?
just to start off with, you attributed that quote to me. That's not correct. That was my colleague, Charles Larsdorf, District 4.
Okay,
Just setting the record straight.
Okay.
Secondly, I'd like to ask you, how do you plan to engage the Hispanic community in District 8? Each district is very different, right? And our council members take different approaches to it. From the very start, I've always been engaged and fully engaged with all constituents in my district. I'm bilingual, I can read, write, Spanish, and so can my staff. So how do you plan to do it if you're elected to council?
Well, I was just talking about this yesterday with someone. I said if I was elected, it would be my first thing to hire somebody that was bilingual next to me. And that's one way to attack it. I mean, I can only say so much to the Latino community. Am I bilingual? No. But it's important for me to reach that community. So my goal is, if I'm elected, is to hire somebody with me that's bilingual, that can get out and help me spread the message.
I just want to make one quick comment. Since Delos is not here, I want everybody to know that he was opposed to the hiring of our city manager, Chapa, the first Hispanic qualified, not DEI hired city manager. He wanted to call for more openness, more candidates, and we already had the right candidates. So, do you support that Chapa hiring? Because Williams and Nettles did not. And I want everybody, when it comes to election time, to remember that.
Well, you know what? I did support it, and I'll tell you why. You had two young members sitting on the council, Nettles and Jerry, right? And at the end of the day, I listened to Councilman Bivens. She was a senior councilman on that seat. She had the longest tenure. And I just had a conversation with a gentleman, I don't see him here earlier today, but I never had a problem with it. The city of Fort Worth has already had two black city managers. And I just said the last city manager, Horatio Porter.
Oh, yeah. Holly's grad, yeah.
Yeah, see, I had no issues with it. I had no issues with it. Gina Bivens had no issues with it. I think that situation was kind of grandstanding. I mean, at the end of the day, we all work hard. We all put our blood, sweat, and tears into things. And I think if the city had a plan in place, and the city chose not to do that, and chose to, hey, we're going to skip this, and this guy's going to get a job, then I don't see anything wrong with it. I really don't. I mean, at the end of the day, I know we have rules and regulations, but sometimes those rules and regulations are kind of cut short. So no, I had no problem with it.
The first Latino aide for council was Will Trevino, who worked for me. The first Latino that was on zoning was Ramon Romero. So let's correct the record. African Americans and Latinos have worked hard together to unite our communities. We have to continue to do that. And District 8 made history doing that way before it was seen as woke or whatever, because we knew the diversity and we celebrated that. Thank you.
Okay, I think one more.
Okay, I have a question. I also want to say that first, I did have a problem with the way that Jay Chapa was appointed and selected. I did have a problem with it. There was zero transparency. Dallas City Hall had multiple town halls to allow community to come and meet the candidates, and I think that was the right thing that should have been done. And the city council shouldn't have had a week to decide between the many applicants that they got on just one person who's already been doing their stuff here for work. Anyways, the question is, it's a yes or no question. Would you, if elected, vote yes to have an independent oversight committee for police in the city of Fort Worth?
Yes.
We already have one. We have a police monitor, not an oversight committee.
All right, Lee, you want to do one last question here? I thought we were done here, okay. And by the way, we did get a text that Councilman Needles is on his way. He's just out here.
Okay, I don't want to sound repetitious, but these are two issues that we started together and they were not followed up. The Hispanics kept their side of it. We started with the Black, Brown, and Tan Caucus. We stood behind it. We got the thing done, and there was no follow-up on the black side. Now, we also started the cold case unit in Fort Worth. And again, Black and Brown and Tan Caucus, we worked on that. LULAC put a lot of emphasis, and Hector Cadillo can be part of that because I followed that to the T. We did well. We started the Black, Brown, and Tan Caucus going to the cold case unit, and then as soon as we lost the coordinator for that, the city dropped it. So right now, you can check on the cold case unit, and I even presented Mr. Nettles a question when he ran for office. What happened to the cold case unit? Why was it dropped? And we haven't got an answer yet.
Did you understand that? What happened to the cold case unit?
Yeah, well, I actually just found out about the cold case unit this morning when I was having a conversation with him. I can find out an answer for you. I had no clue about it until you brought the question out today.
If y'all want to work together, we need to do that.
Talk to your councilman.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Is Wendy Reina here? Wendy Reina? Coming up.
I'm sorry.
All right, our next speaker is the Marketing and PR Chair for the Hispanic Women's Network of Texas. She is a dedicated community leader. She has worked on multiple, as Vice Chair of Marketing and Public Relations for the Hispanic Women's Network Fort Worth chapter. And she's also originally from Houston, and she has a bachelor's degree in communications with a focus on public relations from the University of Texas Austin, and an MBA from Texas Women's University. Let's give a big hand. Wendy Reina.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. I am Wendy Reina. I am from the Hispanic Women's Network of Texas, the Fort Worth chapter, and with me are fellow board members Laura Sanchez-Kincaid and Jessica Bonilla. So, our mission at HWT Fort Worth is just to advance and empower women through education, leadership, and community service. So we have multiple chapters across the state of Texas. We here in DFW have Dallas, Fort Worth, and Arlington. Right here in our backyard, our mission is to really support our students, our community, to really support the small businesses in the area as well. And so we provide scholarships through the Latinas in Progress program. If there's anybody that's heard, that's had their students go through it. It's right here in Fort Worth. We do that by having 6 sessions throughout the year. Our students learn about financial preparedness. They learn about going to school. A lot of these students are first gen. I myself am first gen, and we get to pair them with mentors that understand the process, understand what it's like to go through finding out about college, moving out, learning more about that. And so last year alone, we gave almost $100,000 to our students right here in Fort Worth. We do that through various events where we fundraise. Our biggest fundraiser is our annual gala, Hasta los Muertos Bailan, and some of you have heard of it. And we are continuing that this year, making it even bigger, even better, so that we can continue to give more scholarships to our students in the community here. And like I said, we have multiple chapters, so we're doing that across the DFW community. And so we have many events coming up. All of our women that join us, they're allowed mentorship. They get to join a community of a lot of different professionals coming from various backgrounds and various different jobs and careers and things like that. And so we invite anybody that's interested to learn more. We have many opportunities to either become a member, sponsor. So if you would like to learn more, feel free to approach any of us. We have events coming up with the Modern. We have our Café con Leche series. We just started Margarita Miércoles because we know as summer is coming, we would want a little bit of a break there. And we have our annual gala towards the end of the year. So again, if there's any questions, anything that we can help, any way that we can support either your business, your community, feel free to let us know.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, as you know, the legislature is in session. That means everybody's in trouble. They meet every 6 months, every 2 years. I used to be a representative, so I know. So we're going to get an update as to what's happening in Austin. As you know, there's a big fight on the voucher bill and other issues that are coming up. So to give us a legislative update is State Representative Terry Mesa from Irving. Terry, come on up.
Thank you. Wait a minute, I need to hold it differently. All right. Hi, it's good to be with you. Always good to come to Fort Worth. Proud to serve with the Fort Worth state reps. We have Nicole Collier, who's a past chair of the Black Legislative Caucus. Ramon Romero, who's the current chair of the Mexican American Legislative Caucus. Yay, Ramon. And Salman Boujani, who's the first, among the first Muslims elected to the state legislature. So proud to serve with all of them. I did I leave anybody out? I don't think I did I? Yes, Chris Turner, of course. Arlington. Been disappointed in the last election. Y'all probably were following it because you're an active crowd as far as staying concerned and involved in elections. That the governor held his purge election. All the people that didn't vote for vouchers, he was trying to get out. The bad part about it was he wasn't honest. In his commercials, he said that my more moderate Republican colleagues, that he couldn't count on them to be with him on the border issues. And that was a lie. They were voted with him on all the border issues. So he was just demonizing our community to get them to vote for somebody else. And so a lot of those lost their seats. We have 31 new state reps in a house that's only 150. I was going to say only, that's a large number, 150, but 30 out of 150. So that's a big percentage. And most of them, I guess I can say it, the group, most of them are crazy. They are. Anyway, so I'm not that hopeful about how our session's going to go as far as good things coming out of it or bad things coming out of it. But I want you to know that we're still resisting. We're not rolling over and playing dead and say, oh, we're the minority. We can't do anything. We don't have the votes. No, we're fighting back in every way that we can to make the bad bills less bad and try to get good bills in there. You're right about the legislature not meeting too often. That when I go to other conferences in other states and they find out that we only meet 140 days every other year, they say, how? It's a big state. You have a big budget. They come from much smaller states, much smaller budget. How do you do business meeting so little? And I tell them, well, in Texas, they kind of feel like we're safer when the legislature's not in session. So on public education, which is a really important issue, I'm a public schools myself. I was a public school and private school teacher for decades of my life. And so that's a very important issue to me. I went back session after session to vote against vouchers until Abbott got tired of calling special sessions and said, I'll just see you at the elections. And that's when he turned his attention to the primaries. Public schools are very important. And some people feel that it's not a coincidence that they're defunding the schools right at the time when we're the majority in the schools. Exactly. Public school vouchers, I don't know if you know, have a history of being rooted in racism and segregation. They were first introduced back in 1957 for that exact reason. And they're still that way today. So it gives an opportunity for people to well, it doesn't really give an opportunity like it says for our kids to attend private schools. It's just a welfare break for the rich people whose kids already are going to private schools. Because if they say they're going to give $8,000 voucher, and you take that to the private school and say, hey, here's my $8,000 voucher, they say, that's great, we charge $16,000, so you need to come up with another $8,000. And by the way, we don't provide transportation. And by the way, we don't do special ed. And by the way, we don't, so there's so many extra expenses that our kids aren't really going to get to go or choose a private school if they wanted to. Besides that, the bigger point is that tax dollars are not for private school education. Tax dollars are for public school education. I'm all for school choice. A parent should be able to send their child to whatever school they want to send them to. I'm for that. But not on our tax dollars to private schools. Now, as far as charter schools go, I have to confess that I'm not always a big fan of charter schools. Part of the reason is I'm concerned about their accountability or lack thereof. They're not held to the same standards as public schools, and so I would like to see a change in that. If we're going to continue to call charter schools public schools because they receive public money, then they need to be held to the same standards. So I would say the same should be true if we switch to, if we end up switching to this other form where we're going to send money to private schools. Are they going to be held to the same standards? Are they going to have the same accountability as public schools? Are they going to have to take the STAR test? So I'm concerned about that. So we've got the bills come out. It's a very lengthy bill. I've been charged by Ramon Romero to read it and give him feedback on it. So I need to do that by Monday, right? Just now realize that. So about what the things that are in there that are bad that we need to change and what changes could we possibly ask for or make. So again, I'm saying resistance is not futile. We are resisting. We're doing everything we can. We think we could possibly still have the votes to stop the voucher bill. Part of the reason why I think so is Abbott's still on his tour promoting it. Why is he still on a tour promoting it if he's got the votes? He says he's got the votes. We don't think he does. The combination last time was all the Democrats together with the rural Republicans. And that's the coalition that defeated vouchers last session. For the rural areas, vouchers are not a good deal. They don't have the options that we have in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and other urban areas. Their public schools are very important to them. It's their main employer in their small town, and it's the center of their social activities. Their social activities revolve around their kids in their public schools and what they're doing as far as plays or athletics or whatever. And Friday night lights are a real thing there. And there's been a question brought up about what would this do to our football? What would this do to our Friday nights? We're not all on the same team anymore. So I thought that was an interesting point to bring up too. So I'm still hopeful that we're going to have some rural Republicans who won't say, well, I want to get reelected more than doing the right thing, who will side with us. The split in the legislature is 84 Republicans, 66 Dems, to make up the 150, 66 Dems. So we don't have the majority, but we do have more than, they can't get to 2/3 on anything. It requires 2/3 votes without us. So we do have that leverage that we can use. And so I really think that there's going to be some rural Republicans who will join with us again this time. We don't need that many. Again, we're 66. You have to have 76 to pass something. So the problem, though, for our Republicans, I feel bad for them sometimes because I'll go to like a moderate Republican and I'll say, this is a bad bill. We're hoping that you would join with us on it and opposing it. And they'll say, well, I know it's a bad bill, but if I vote for it, I'll get primary. So they put their own re-election over what they think about a bill. Same way, on a different day, a different Republican, this is a good bill. We'll hope you join us in supporting it. Yeah, I know it's a good bill, but if I vote for it, I'll get primary. So they seem to be more concerned about their own re-election than they are about doing the right thing, which I'm so glad to be a Democrat that I'm allowed to vote my conscience. I'm allowed to vote what I think is best for my district, and I don't have to worry about whether or not I get primary. Because after all, if I get primary, I'll just be in anyway, right? No. Hopefully. Please don't blame your school districts and school boards if they're passing deficit budgets or having to take actions that you don't like. Put the blame where it belongs, on the legislature. We're not giving them the money that we need. In the House, I'm so proud of the House. Do we really need a Senate, Domingo? Maybe we could get rid of the Senate.
Yes.
Nebraska has a unit Anyway, I couldn't get that passed in the Senate if I filed that bill today. I'm so proud of the House because when we voted during the special sessions, the last vote we took was that we voted for higher pay for teachers. We voted for more school funding for the school districts. We voted for taking vouchers out of the bill, eliminating vouchers from the bill. And so we had a bill that went over to the Senate saying more pay for teachers, more money for school districts, no vouchers. And of course, Lieutenant Dan wouldn't hear it, so it didn't go anywhere in the Senate. But that's what the House did. And so I'm very proud of the House. But when the Senate refused to hear that bill or pass that bill, that meant that the school districts are going into another school year without the money that they needed.
Yeah, exactly. We have a surplus. Yep.
Somewhere. Now, they're bragging that they're proposing more money than has ever been offered for school districts. The biggest amount of money ever raised or increased. Well, maybe for one session, but it doesn't make up for the fact that they didn't fund them last session. So you need like double just to be even. So it's not, don't let them fool you with saying it's more money. It's not really, I mean more money for 1 year, but not more money for to make up for all the years in the past. So, we're for increasing the allotment. We're for changing the way that schools are funded from being from attendance to enrollment. And I thought that all school districts, all states did funding by attendance. But no, we're one of the very few states in the entire United States that still fund schools by enrollment. Why is that important? Because you get less money if a kid doesn't attend school one day. But the teacher still has to be there. The custodian still has to be there. Lunches still have to be served. The building still needs to be air conditioned. The expenses are still there even if a kid misses a day. So that's why we think it's better to fund based on enrollment rather than on attendance. And so we've been advocating for that. We're hopeful that some of our ideas might catch on, and it would help a lot if you give your voice to it, to your representative. Most of you hopefully have I'm being prejudiced here, biased, a Democratic state rep to support, but if you don't, then it's especially important to call your Republican state rep. If I have my numbers right, in Tarrant County you have 11 state reps. It was 8 and 3, and now it's increased to 7 and 4, 7 Republicans and 4 Democrats. And if Tarrant County were not gerrymandered, it would be more like 6 and 5. It would be closer. And so gerrymandering is one of the techniques that they use to hold on to power. And I had to win in a gerrymandered district to win in Irving, so it can be done. But some of the state reps you have from Tarrant County are some of the ones that are causing problems up at the front mic and back mic and wherever, saying that we need to get to work. They don't understand that the filing deadline is March 14th for bills. So if you have some idea that you want to get to your state rep for a bill, filing deadline is March 14th, which is coming up very soon. And then we don't get to start hearing bills until after all bills have been filed. So that's why it doesn't seem like it's moving much in January and February. But we're very busy. We're busy filing bills. We're busy hearing from constituents. When you come on Advocacy Day, there are people constantly coming in our office to talk to me every day about what their issue is. So, can't think of what else I was going to say. I'll think about it when I get back down to the table, won't I? So anyway, that's the most important thing I think is public schools and vouchers. I hope we can do better by our public schools this time, and so we're working really hard on that. The odd part is Brad Buckley, who is the chair of Pub Ed. His wife is an administrator in the Killeen ISD school district. So I thought, how does that work out? Here he's working against public schools, and his wife's an administrator in a public school district. The other issues like immigration that are important to us, Abbott kept saying that he had to spend money on the border because Biden was president. So now they've gotten Trump. Why do we still need to have to spend money on the border in Texas? We're spending billions of dollars, I prefer to say wasting, billions of dollars by sending people from Texas to the border from the Texas Fund. That money could be used for health care, it could be used for education, it could be used for so many other more important things. Immigration is not really a state issue, it's a national issue. We need to return that back to the national, and we need to save our billions of dollars not having people on the border. Because after all, when they send the National Guard can't do anything. They just put them there to stand to be intimidating, because they have no authority to arrest or stop or do anything to anybody. So we're spending all that money to have National Guard there when they're not empowered to do anything. So I want to spend that billions of dollars on something else. What do you think?
Yes.
I'm trying to think what other issues are important to us to talk about. I know immigration is important to everybody. There's rumors about ICE going into schools. There was a rumor about them going into schools in Irving. Didn't happen. But Irving's position, school superintendent's position, is that they're not allowed in the public schools unless they come with a warrant. If they don't have a warrant, they can't get in. I think that's a pretty good policy, don't you think? And I talked. Okay, I was just going to say one last thing about
Question over here, then a question over there.
on immigration is that I talked to the Irving police chief and asked him if he was going to be enforcing that, and he said no. His priority 100% is on the safety and security of the residents. He's not doing immigration work. And he said that he's already seen a chilling effect in our communities with people being afraid to call the police even when a crime's being committed on them, because they're afraid the police is going to come out and end up arresting them instead of doing something about the crime. And so people are hesitant to report crimes, and when they're hesitant to report crimes, that doesn't make our community safer. So anyway, I encourage you, if the community hasn't already, to talk to your police chief and make sure that they're working on making our community safe and secure and not going after people that they are immigrants. So you said that there were some questions, Domingo?
Over here.
Question.
Oh, no.
My question is this, Terry.
Question.
With, supposedly there's 5.5 million students in the Texas public schools, of which about 54% of those are Hispanic, and maybe 12 to 14% are African Americans. So almost close to 70% of the students in all of the Texas public schools are Hispanic or Black.
Yes.
I wonder why they're trying to destroy now the public schools by sending money so people can afford to send their kids to private schools. Now, how do you rationalize that, trying to destroy the public schools, of which many of us here have benefited from that for generations? I don't understand that.
They're defunding the public schools and then saying, oh, they're not doing well, they're not doing their job. Well, you defunded them. How can you need to give them more money, not less money, so they're defunding them and then turning around and criticizing them.
I know that the charter schools have taken a big hit on the public schools. I just read an article recently that said that in one charter school in South Texas, the principal with less than 1,000 students was making $900,000 a year's salary. Now, how do you rationalize that?
Do not. I got invited to visit a charter school in my district, and like I already said, I kind of had a bias, not too much in favor of charter schools. But I thought if somebody asked me, have you ever visited one? And I answered no, that would not be a very good answer. And so I accepted an invitation to go visit a couple of charter schools in my district. Back when I represented part of Grand Prairie, I visited one in Grand Prairie. And so I asked them a lot of the questions and the concerns I had about charter schools. And so I phrased it this way: if someone asks me, do you do this? How do you want me to answer? And that way they didn't feel so adversarial about my question that way and were more willing to answer. But one of my questions was, where's your school board from? And they said Houston. This is in Grand Prairie, and all of their school board is in Houston. So so I still have a problem with charter schools. I think they need to be accountable and held to the same standards as public schools.
The third part of my question, I'm not trying to take up all the space, but the other thing that I read recently is how many unqualified people are becoming teachers without any questioning. Something very ridiculous, like every 4 new teachers are not qualified to be in a public school to teach anybody. Now, how do you justify sending that to particularly the urban areas like Dallas and Fort Worth and other cities like that? Putting somebody that has no training whatsoever and then expect them to do a good job.
Well, and then they don't last very long because they're struggling because they haven't had the training that they needed to do the job. And then when they get in there and they're having trouble doing it, they only last a year or so because it's so hard on them. I have one of those rare lifetime secondary school certifications in public education. So I do believe in the training. I do believe it makes a difference. And most of that happened in Houston. That's not to say it's not happening other places, but poor Houston ISD, the state took them over, and that was not a good idea.
Thank you very much for your service.
Hi, my name is Rafael. I was just wondering recently that there was a House committee bill that basically said a Texas Doge or something like that. I remember reading that on Texas Tribune.
Sorry, what did you say? Once again?
Texas Doge or something similar to that.
Oh, yes.
So
Texas Doge.
I was just wondering about that, and they said that they have multiple bills that they're going to revise, and they're going to cut slash funding. So I was wondering how is this going to affect minority communities, and does this include education as well?
Well, they're really going after the minority communities and women in our legislature, aren't they? So yes, we have a Doge in the state, I'm sorry to say. Giovanni Caprigione
And David Cook.
is the chair of that. Is David Cook a vice chair or something?
He's one of the
Bojani's vice chair. Bojani's vice chair.
Oh, Bojani's vice chair, okay. And David Cook maybe is on that committee, is what you're saying? So it sounds like they're trying to be a lot like the U.S. Doge, doesn't it? And so that's kind of scary because the U.S. Doge hasn't been doing that great a job, most of us don't think. So they're also going after DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're being very racist about it, blatantly racist about it. In one committee, they went after the African-American woman who headed up the Waterland Board, and they were kind of questioning whether she was qualified or was she a DEI hire. I'm so proud of Nicole Collier for coming to her defense, and Armando Wally, who's the chair, who shut him down. They made her cry. It's bad. She explained that she had 2 engineering degrees, aerospace engineering and civil engineering, and plus all her 33 years of experience. That doesn't sound like somebody was hired just because of the color of their skin. She was hired for her qualifications. Just because somebody has a different skin color doesn't not mean that they're less qualified, right? We're just as qualified as they are. We're just concerned with that job. We just want to be included. It just brought them to the pool. In a committee that I serve on, that's trade, workforce development, economic development, that we met just Wednesday, one of the newly elected Republican women on the committee, that was on the committee, she started questioning. We had reports from the Workforce Commission and those kind of groups anyway, Workforce Commission, Economic Development, and she kept asking them, how many of these jobs are going to people that are not citizens? How many jobs are you giving to people who are foreigners? And so she was really pushing that issue. I was proud of our chair for shutting that down and saying, oh, why don't you have that conversation with them separate? And she stopped it. But twice of 2 different people giving testimony, she asked them, are jobs going to people that are not citizens? Are jobs going to foreigners? So they're just very blatant about their racism. You remember a time when racism was something people were very subtle about or didn't want to let show that they were racist, and now they're not afraid of showing that they're racist at all, are they? They're just very blatant about it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, that's the end of our program. We're open for community announcements. If there's any community announcements that anybody would like to make, anuncios de la comunidad.